Hello and welcome to another Driven Catalyst live stream. It's Monday and we are going to hit the ground running with some video editing. I don't know what it is about. Well, actually, this is probably so relatable. Whenever I go and do things like off on my own, I feel like necessity is quite literally the mother of invention. The second I want to learn how to do something new for personal creative application, it really makes me realize how helpful that's going to be at work. And so this weekend I took a trip, and while putting together all my little travel videos that I got and pictures, I realized that, I don't know, I'm a rule follower of sorts, and I think it's fun to learn the rules together on live stream sometimes. And something I ran into while putting together all of my little travel footage is that I really wanted to intercut photos that I got. There were a lot of situations where I didn't really take video in this place. I have just pictures. And then there are a lot of videos that I filmed the same way. So I have a video of me at literally probably the biggest REI in the world. And it's me panning the exterior of it, but then I pan the interior of it the same way. And in some settings, you would think that panning, intercutting or putting two videos that pan the same way back to back would be really cool and look good. But in sort of short form video, taking pictures, grassroots video, I don't know. They're not the same enough for me. And I'm sure it would not matter. I know it wouldn't matter, but it bothers me to see. And so there's these moments that pop up, especially with short form video, where two things are similar and you think it's going to be appealing to the eye and that it'll make editing easier, but in actuality it kind of breaks the mold of the rest of the video. And since everything isn't harmonious in that same way, it's not as appealing as you would have thought. And in this particular scenario, where this is just my regular schmegular trip footage, where probably literally it matters to no one else but me, but it's this once in a lifetime little thing that I can't go back and take that footage, right? So kind of working through this problem solving in post. So just going through all of these little hiccups on my own this weekend made me realize, okay, maybe this would be a fun thing to talk about on live stream. So we're going to talk about video editing and transitions, particularly probably for the TikTok sphere. I feel like that's kind of the video editing that is most relevant at our current moment. So we're going to talk about that. And another thing I kind of want to look up, because for sure, I went to school. I had someone with a degree teach me how to video edit, right? Someone with a degree, and then a lot of YouTube video links that were in the syllabus. What is the proper etiquette for mixing transitions? Because that was initially for the use case at hand with the double pan video, right? So I've got the interior pan of REI and the exterior pan of REI. Do we cut between the two? So it's one fluid pan, but then I just told you the pacing of the panning is not correct. And it looks too sputtery. The frame rate's not right, such that I can't just slow or speed up one or the other to try and make it one fluid motion. That's just not a solution. So then the next solution would be to, I think, pick a transition that makes it more fluid. But then it gets a little bit, are we doing kind of the deep fried video editing online where we're mixing all of these transitions and it's not evocative of the right tone I'm going for, right? Because I'll be the first to say, and you can check out the Driven Catalyst TikTok, I love some deep fried editing. Ain't nothing wrong with deep fried editing. Emma Chamberlain, I love you. A million other creators that have been absolutely trailblazers in the deep fried editing sphere. I pour one out for you. I take off my hat. I kneel at your throne. I kiss the ring. But for this vibe, like for like video, for vacation footage, it's not kind of what I wanted to go for. So talking through like tonal applications of transitions in editing too. I think a lot of it, the answer is going to be try it out, troubleshoot it, always, I think. But like I said, I am a rule follower and I like knowing what the rules are so that I feel better about breaking them when I do. Or I have a better justification. So today I'm going to just Google, and we're going to Google it together because I think that there is power in numbers. And I think that solidarity is a beautiful thing. So we're going to do it together. So we're going to start with a cute, quick Google search. How to mix transitions in video editing. And we're going to see if I can find a cool article that has any great rule of thumb. Okay, so first thing I'm seeing is someone on r/Premiere on Reddit asking if there's a way to add two different transitions that roll at the same time, which is really interesting. I imagine that would be if you wanted to fade and then flip, or fade and wipe, stuff like that. That's not quite what I'm looking for, and that is from 2 years ago. I feel like it's pretty easy to do stuff like that right now, on TikTok at least. There's been many times that I have some joke fan cams that I edited, just again, for the love of the game in my personal time. And my favorite thing ever is to stack transitions when I do fan cams, because I feel like it's what really becomes like the heart and soul of the fan cam, is that it's like, okay, Andy Samberg is wiping, fading, flipping upside down, there's glitter, and he's wearing cat ears, right? Like you gotta stack them. You really do. You gotta stack them. Okay, but we're kind of talking more about earnest and cleaner video editing is the goal today. So I'm going to keep looking. How to make a video transition, a step-by-step guide. I'm getting the vibe that this one is more so if you really wanted to get custom with it and keyframe a transition, which in the early days at Driven Catalyst, I would keyframe a lot of transitions because I was trained on Premiere, and we use Final Cut Pro primarily here. And so there were a lot of things that I was like, I don't like, where is my wipe to black? Like, I just want to fade, dip to black, right? And I couldn't figure it out. And so I would like just keyframe the opacity and have a black background, like dumb stuff like that. I would get like, that became the easiest way for me to do it instead of just Googling it, which is so stupid. That's how bad habits form. But then you get really, really fast at doing it the hard way, and you just have a whole bunch of bad habits. And I think like that's a little bit what makes us us. Not to get too philosophical about it. Too philosophical or heartfelt. Sentimental is the word I think I'm looking for. Okay. Edit creative video transitions in your film. Let's see what Adobe has to say. Because as we all know, I love Adobe. She's got her. I'm trying to think of like the Fiona. There's a Fiona Apple. No. That's not Fiona Apple. That's Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's pretty crazy. Me trying to quote Fiona Apple, and it's not. Okay. What's a transition in film versus cut? That's not what we need. Learn different types of transitions in Premiere Pro. Yes, we know that. Dissolve transition, yada yada, wipe transition, J cuts and L cuts. Hey, check you out, Adobe. I had to get a degree to learn about those. Kidding. I'm kind of not kidding though. Y'all, like, YouTube is such a great tool. Let me be the first to say, because I am the first, obviously, saying this. No. But if ever you are feeling like, oh my God, I like want to learn how to do this thing, I'm sure in this day and age, I'm sure like this is not speaking to many people. But in the off chance that this is speaking to you and you're feeling like weird imposter syndrome or like, man, I need to go to school to learn how to do this thing. There are so many awesome tools online, and I'm not talking AI. I'm literally just talking about, like, I'm reading such a phenomenal Adobe article right now, and odds are I would have had a professor link to this in the syllabus. I'm a huge proponent of classroom learning, though. I think it worked for me. I'm a structure person, so this isn't any knock to being in an educational space, having a community in that way. But if for whatever reason, there's about a million reasons that kind of thing is not accessible. I just cannot stress enough that like there's so many great tools online, and like don't let that stop you. Cringecore inspirational speaker flops on YouTube Live. This has been honestly me vamping because I couldn't quite find the answers in that article that I was hoping for. Here we go. Okay. We're dealing with stackexchange.com, and this is some sort of, it's giving Reddit. So that already is feeling promising. This is sort of a forum. Is there a rule of thumb for transitions in video editing? Oh my God, this is awesome. This is really awesome. Okay. This was asked 9 years ago. It's been viewed 5K times, and the screen name of the person writing is Hire This Marine. So now a dramatic reading. I am a software engineer, but as the junior member on the team, I was tasked with making a looping demo for our product that will be played continuously at an upcoming convention. The video is not only an advertisement for our software, but also for some of the hardware platforms it runs on. So I have to introduce a number of products and logos. After a month of working on this, I've trimmed and snipped down to a tight 4 minutes, but some transitions between clips and stills just feel off to me. I've tried a one-size-fits-all, but not really, with cross-dissolve. What a charming person this is. I'm like loving the way that everything is phrased and the way this person is outlining their predicament. I've also tried a spectrum of slides, wipes, and dissolves, but it feels like someone's PowerPoint presentation from the late 90s, minus the stock sound effects. Like, see, you're like so funny and charming. Love you. Does this community have any guidelines that they follow when creating transitions in their own projects? First and foremost, I'm obsessed with this dynamic because, as you may or may not know, I'm someone who knows more about video editing than software engineering or software development, but I work with all software developers, and I think they're brilliant. They blow me away on the daily. And I'm consistently like, oh my God, you know everything. I'm so impressed. And so it's like fun to see this little forum where there's a software engineer that's like, hey, like, could you help me with video editing? Like, I'm sure like stuff like that comes up at work, of course, but I don't know. It's very sweet and earnest in this setting, and I'm loving it. And as you could tell, as I was reading that, I'm just so charmed by the sense of humor, the earnestness, the kind heart that I feel is at the core of this Stack Exchange Ask Forum from Hire This Marine. Posted September 8th, 2016. Whoa! You guys, this was asked 9 years ago today. Oh, I could cry. Like, that's like, there's kismet here. Okay. Top answer is, a while back, I ran some introductory video editing workshops. I used to tell the participants about a particularly cool effect that I once found in Pinnacle. It was a pinata that came, pinata, but misspelled. Or spelled differently than I would have spelled it if I was typing it into something that I was wary was going to spell check me. It's not how it's spelled. Well, it may be spelled right, just without the tilde. So maybe I'm just being... Okay. That's besides the point. It was a piñata that came swinging into the first video along with a stick that hit the second video out of it. And it unfolded across the string. The point of this anecdote is the following. Don't use transition presets, like at all. Sure, it looks cool in the preview reel, but all those fancy swipes, slides, etc. are just distracting and ugly. Of course, it depends on what kind of video you're making, but I would always try, if it works, with no transitions at all. If it doesn't, maybe try a simple short cross dissolve, like half a second max. Maybe a dip to black, but keep your hands off all other transition presets. My rules of thumb are the following. Number 1, don't use transitions. Number 2, if you have to use transitions, use as little as possible and be consistent. Okay, this is kind of so in line with what I was thinking, like kind of how I was feeling about it. At this point, I did so much work editing, and then I kind of felt almost guilty about it because I had some wipes and I was kind of being reckless with my transitions, if I'm being honest. But I am such a big fan of a good clean cut and a dip to black. At the end of the day, I think those are your best bets. But kind of what I'm wanting to open up the dialogue of on this live stream today is what to do when your footage doesn't look good with a clean cut or a dip to black, because that's kind of where I'm at, I think. And I would say that my own personal first advice that I've shaken out while working through this problem is, if something feels disjointed about a clean cut or a dip to black, your next bet is to ask yourself if you can reorganize the footage. So in this context, it's just a bunch of video footage and kind of no one knows what the timeline of my trip was, right? So I don't necessarily have to do it in order of events. I can have stuff from the first day of my trip intercut with the second day of my trip, and it really is just a game of what looks good, what feels right. That kind of works. The other thing would be snapping on sound. There used to be an Adobe video editing software that would cut snap on audio so cool, and TikTok now has just totally revolutionized that with their you give them the videos and they'll almost auto cut it for you to the audio. That I would say is probably the next best bet. And that kind of circles back to my first, when I was kind of talking through the different problems that I'm troubleshooting and talking about with video editing, is intercutting photos with video footage. So I guess I'll just use my own personal example because it's fine and I don't care. It doesn't feel that personal. But I think at this point I've landed on using Hey Driver, the song from Zach Bryan. And that song starts with Zach Bryan counting 1, 2, 3, okay, and then the song starts. And so because of the nature of the audio, that 1, 2, 3, okay, it's almost the perfect use case for pretty vacation photography stills, right? So you snap on the beat, and then as the music starts, that's when the first video hits. So stuff like that. This kind of doesn't apply at all to my best friend Hire This Marine from StackExchange.com, because presumably for a software engineering convention, the music, you're not going to have as much to work with in terms of being able to clean up what you're working with and make it snap to an audio. But again, I would say that in this application, a wipe to black is probably going to solve all your problems. Hopefully. It probably did solve all their problems. This was 9 years ago. But let's keep reading. Moritz Lost is the person who is answering this. The very, very charming person who I was a total jerk to about the spelling of pinata. While I'm at it, though, should I be that person? Yeah. Okay. Well, let me check his spelling of it, though. Surely people... Maybe this is... I don't know. I'll just tell you this. There was an H in it that I wasn't expecting. And I don't know if that's right or not. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, yes. I think that's the Portuguese spelling. Okay. I'm a total jerk. I'm sorry. No. Okay, we're going to keep rolling. Forget about all that. I'm sorry. Rule of thumb. Love the rule of thumb. Moritz Lost. The mind, your mind. Okay, second point is particularly important. Even if you're a fan of transitions, be consistent with A, what type of transition you use, and B, when you use them. Okay, right? This is going to be establishing a visual language. For example, if you use a transition to visually separate two scenes for the first half of your movie and then suddenly start using a transition for every cut in a scene, it's confusing and distracting. And if you drop different transitions every time, it looks like a crappy YouTube video made by a 12-year-old. And if that's what you're going for, that's what you're going for. And I think that is something beautiful and poetic about that. Like, I'll be the first to say that we should empower the 12-year-olds. Like, I think the 12-year-olds are onto something. I think explore that creativity. 12-year-olds everywhere in a constructive, wonderful way. Like you are the future. Like, go fight, win. Love that. But yeah, in this context, using different transitions all the time is pretty disjointed and feels hard to watch. So I like this advice that be consistent with the type of transition you use and when you use them. So, for example, because I have already established in my vacation video that I'm only showing still images, snap to beat, basically, is the language there. I need to make sure that I am not putting still images when there's no snap to beat, right? And so right now I think I am breaking that rule, and so I'm going to have to go back and fix it. But that's frustrating because then that I'll talk through the problem area in my video. So I have some concert photos that I want to integrate, and I have concert footage too. So I right now, since they are all darker, I have sort of a sandwich. I have my two really pretty concert photos I like, and then the concert footage in between. And I think I have a dip to black transition in between the two because that seems to fit. The predicament is, do I keep the dip to black? Because I'm not really using dip to black anywhere else because I don't have black. I don't have dark photos anywhere else. So then I think using the dip to black is inappropriate because it stands out. It's not quite right, right? And then I also already have the established visual language of cutting like snap to beat, right? So the photos are there on snap to beat. I don't think the audio accomplishes that, right? So as it stands right now in the stage I'm at in video editing, the audio doesn't accommodate the visual language I've set up, but I like the point in the video because I think chronologically is where it lays. So I have some cool pictures from like outside the venue, stuff like that, and it fits sequentially where I want it to within the video, but then that leaves it in a place where maybe one of the concert images before the concert footage lays on a snap to like a beat, so it fits, but then the other one doesn't. So then that means that I need to shorten the footage or lengthen it so that the next photo does snap on a beat. Get rid of the second photo, add maybe more concert footage if possible. And I think I'm landing on those dip to blacks need to get out of there, right? Because I don't have any other footage that's dark enough to be able to incorporate dip to black anywhere else. And so then it just being in the middle of the video, I could, right? Like, there's no rules. This is TikTok. This is my video from my vacation footage. Like, it doesn't matter, right? Rules can be broken is the point I'm trying to make. But because I care and because I do want to look into ways to establish better visual consistency in video editing, and that's what we're talking about today on live stream, those I think are the changes that I need to make as my little video stands. So let's keep reading this, but I think we're kind of at a good place with this live stream and kind of talking through some of the issues I've run into. So we are going to wrap it up, but I see that Maritz Lost is going to talk about Star Wars soon. So let's keep it rolling. Okay. For example, watch Star Wars, in parentheses, the prequels. We may have to log off the live stream pretty soon if he says anything backhanded about the prequels, because I'm a prequels girly. They use those swipes and slides with soft borders all over the place. I don't really like those, but at least they're consistent with it. Why is everyone on this website such a good vibe? I love them. But some transitions between clips and stills just feel off to me. Okay, so he's, I guess, replying to like an exact part of the initial post from OP. Yeah. Okay. This may be opinionated, but in my experience, a transition looks weird as soon as you notice it. That is fabulous advice. That is fabulous advice in video editing, in my opinion. The best possible transition is one you didn't notice. Because a transition is a tool to better tell your story, not a story element itself. And the easiest way to have a transition that you don't notice is to not use one at all. Oh my gosh. That is like, that's 2 years of film editing school right there for you. I'm kind of kidding, but I think like that is possibly just some of the best advice ever. I'll pepper in additional supplementary guidance. I will say, if you cut on motion, that's like the big advice always. I'm sure you've heard that before if you've watched other videos. So cut on motion and yeah, best possible transitions when you don't notice. So making sure that your footage is colored similarly can help with that. Making sure that, like I was saying, my concert, the section of my footage that's all from the concert is all darker. And so the transitions in between that footage all looks really good. But those are the darkest, it's like the darkest section of my video. So making that feel fluid was really important. I still kind of need to figure that out. But I will say the footage that I have prior to the concert is, okay. It's like me spinning in front of the venue, right? So that's motion. And then I just realized I have dark concert footage, but some of it strobes. So one way around that may be to cut on a strobe. So as the picture is blown out and brighter, since I have brighter footage outside the venue, cutting on that strobe may help that transition better. So then that also negates having the still image before, because that doesn't strobe at all. That's just a still image, and it's dark like the rest of the concert footage. So that's why I have it all set like that. Which leads me to, if I wanted to, so it's a hard sell to do a dip to black and establish visual language for a dip to black. But in this use case, I'm realizing since the concert footage may strobe, I may be able to, if I can time it right, I can have the lead into the concert footage snap on a beat. So there's audio impetus for the cut. And I can also dip to white. So then the concert photo strobes the way the concert footage will. And then if I can establish other situations in the video, mind you, this is a 30-second video, where we dip to white, where there's maybe a snap on a beat and it dips to white, that may be the exact way to incorporate it throughout and establish it in a way that's not disjointed. I think another good justification for a dip to white is there's a moment where I go to like an old school, I have footage from a little shop I visited had a old school photo booth where they actually like develop the images as they print out and stuff, or instead of digitally printing, like they develop. And so I have a pan of the like lobby of the place with the old school photo booth. And then I have footage of the actual little photo strip coming down and falling down developed. And because the ambience of those two videos are so similar, I was able to cut on motion in a way that it feels pretty fluid. So even though they're two different videos, I didn't get one quick, like a good shot. I tried to, where I pan, and then as I pan, boom, like I hit the photo booth as the little reel of photos comes out. I wasn't able to time it like that, but I was able to fake it like that because the settings look the same. But the reason I bring this up too is because there's almost this if you have implied context of the fact that like, okay, if you've ever been in a photo booth, you know, like there's a flash when it takes the picture of you. That may be an appropriate use for a dip to white that then suits the rest of the video and helps establish that visual language that's going to make it easier for us to get into darker concert footage from lighter outside of the venue footage, right? And then I have some stuff that's like hiking, outside stuff, and there's potential to use a dip to white there because kind of when you're outdoors, the solar flare and when it kind of blows out your eyesight. So if we can find another like snap-on beat moment to use a dip to white, I think that will kind of tie it all together. So, unfortunately, since I didn't find this article until we dove into the video, I don't have it linked below like I usually like to, but like I said, this is from Stack Exchange Video Production. This is a question asked 9 years ago from Hire This Marine, and my favorite answer was from my new best friend, Moritz Lost. Sorry about the pinata thing, Moritz. I was wrong. But I think that was absolutely phenomenal guidance. And it was one of those things where I think reading through it it was helpful. It reminded me, and I kind of realized, okay, like these are cool ways to be more thoughtful and intentional about how I'm moving through some of these video transitions. Once again, there are no rules. There are rules, but you don't have to follow them. And sometimes figuring out how to break them will be your breakthrough, and it'll be your moment where you go, oh my gosh, my footage strobes, I could do a dip to white, and that'll be better throughout the video than a dip to black. So stuff like that is really cool. I also do want to acknowledge that I'm doing the opposite of what you should do in video editing. I am telling, not showing. So I'm sure this was kind of a convoluted and confusing live stream in that regard. So I'm sorry for not screen sharing and walking you through the things that I'm talking about, but I hope that me kind of just describing the use case, the footage, and the application for some of these creative choices helps abstract the scenario and gets you thinking about your own footage. So you can kind of work through these problems just like I did on your own. But I hope you have a great rest of your day. It's Monday, but we're making it through. I will see y'all on Wednesday next.